Hello everyone, this is Al Spectral. Welcome back to the Land of Empires. And this video, as you can see, might look a little different from my usual videos. And that is because it is a video provided by my buddy Ninja from server 22. And this is a recording of their Lost Shrine fight against server 10, which is currently one of the strongest servers in the game. And this is footage, 1 hour footage provided by Ninja. So I will commentate over this video at 1.5 times speed. And as this battle is coming underway, we will see what strategies both sides rely on and how this battle turns out. So this was recorded, I believe 2 weeks ago. One or 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks ago. But yeah, both sides are, I would say, in terms of high powered players, it is definitely an advantage for server 10. But server 22 also has two very, very strong players, two of the strongest players in the game. And if both of those players join this fight, they can definitely put up a good fight against server 10. So as this battle is starting, people are joining the battle with shield. And this is typically a good idea, especially if you're a lower player, because one thing that you want to do is reinforce your strong players who may be attempting to capture these high value buildings, which is from the top left and the bottom right. We can see the buildings that are branching out. Those buildings have, generate 2,000 points a minute. And that is very important to capture early on, because the moment you capture it, it takes 5 minutes for your enemy to capture it back. And anytime you break the defense, meaning that you kick the enemy out of the building, the timer resets. And so they have to spend another 5 minutes trying to capture it. So there's kind of two options you can, two kind of strategies, general strategies you can take at the beginning of a Lost Shrine fight. You can attempt to suppress all their players, so both high-powered players as well as low-powered players. You will constantly rally and attempt to burn them. And the other strategy is kind of to focus more on their buildings. So you have a setup where you can just try to tank the rallies while capturing the buildings. So in this case, it appears that both sides will be using the former strategy to just suppress the top players from each side. And it does look like server 10 is launching their first rallies against Baddie, although I also see some players about to capture the shrines. So has General's rally launched yet? So General actually canceled. It does appear that General canceled his rally, or maybe Baddie rallied General and General teleported away to capture the shrine, and that is a good move. And the way to kind of counter that is to, of course, teleport next to General and launch a rally against his castle, and also maybe a rally against the altar. So you really do not want to let your opponent capture the altars. In Shrine, keep in mind that rallies only take a minute to launch. So yeah, combat here is very fast, and even the strongest player can easily be sniped by a solo hit if two or three of their marchers are outside doing their work. So on the which shrine is this? So on the bottom left shrine, server 10 is attempting to control the bottom left shrine. It looks like server 22 is trying to capture the north shrine, the upper right shrine. Okay, so it will kind of end up in a split map, it looks like. So we have Nightmare against Psycho. Psycho is doing solo attacks versus Nightmare. It doesn't look like it will work. Okay, so the defense was not broken, but even if it doesn't work, it will still do a decent amount of damage. And kind of this is a characteristic of the combat engine. You do not really get as much of an advantage as you would think by having a high number of troops inside your castle. Like if you have 10 million troops, that actually will not give you as much of an advantage as you think. It is only really powerful in server versus server because of how much damage the attacker suffers when they attack the HQ. But actually, in terms of the losses, you will typically lose more as the defender with a lot of defending troops compared to an attacker who is just attacking with a solo march. So anyways, one thing to really pay attention to is which buildings become captured first. So which side is able to capture the most buildings at the start. And this is kind of where having more glorious 10s would help a lot. Like having more top end players, you would really be able to just scatter across the different targets and be able to capture them individually, as opposed to relying on just a couple top players and who will be forced to spread out their top marches. So I would expect, at least initially, for Deadly Sin Server 10, despite having fewer number of people who join the battlefield, to be able to capture more initial buildings. So this is what we will keep an eye out at the start. Ninja is teleporting towards the middle. I think he will probably start farming soon, or just joining rallies. Okay. So I like how Ninja just uses a few crystals at a time. I think he should just use his entire stash and just use speed up sparingly rather than having to go through an extra step of using the crystals. It's like kind of like the Federal Reserve. You have the federal government trying to reduce the spending, but always having this debt ceiling, and then raising the debt ceiling slowly so that they can allow themselves more money to spend. It's kind of what Ninja's doing here, which is a little funny. So we can see that the left building as well as the right bottom building are currently controlled by Deadly Sin Server 10, and really the target to pay attention to are the high pointers. So neither of those buildings that were just captured are high pointer buildings. Maybe that is why they were so easily captured. Are people trying to rally Baron? He should not be that easy to break, especially if his strong teams are defending. So the high pointer buildings should be about to be captured right now, unless they've been broken midway through. So it does look like that both sides have switched their strategies to capturing the buildings instead of seriously pressuring the top players, which is a fair call. I think initially Server 10 switched to the new strategy, and Server 22 kind of had to play catch up. That is funny. The healing skill is being activated. So people still take Shrine battles, especially top confrontations, very seriously, despite the rewards really not being there. So we have, once again, Server 10 capturing the third building, so it's 3-0 right now. We can see the point generation from Server 10 going up to 1080. And it's not a high generation right now, but if they capture more buildings than they have right now, then it will be hard for Server 22 to really come back. And it does not appear that Server 22 has put a lot of pressure on Server 10 players. So, I mean, of course, the way you put pressure is during the time they capture the buildings, just spam rallies on them. If they are running a suboptimal defensive team in the building, then just rally the building instead. Rally whatever is weak, whether it's the player or the building. That is really kind of how you pressure, which is why having more top players is always a better thing. And a note for joining rallies. You never really want to send out your main marches in Shrine whenever you join rallies, but people need your armies, so you just join with kind of sub-team heroes. And we can see Baron solo attacking Batty. And it does appear that nobody is currently capturing the bottom left Shrine, so whoever was in there, they got kicked out, and someone else is in there right now. Rome does appear to be attempting. Actually, 197 just took control of the bottom left Shrine, so now they have a 2,280 point advantage, which is a much bigger, double the advantage they had before. So Cycle, I can't tell whether those are solo attacks or rallies. It does appear to still be solo attacks. And that again spells the devastating damage you can do simply with a solo attack in the context of Season 7. And with Leona, that might, like with the changes that Leona has experienced recently, that might be a little different. But like if people are running 776, for example, Season 7 Infantry Neptune Arc, Season 7 Cavalry Dorothy, and Season 6 Archer, which can either be Horn God or some armament variation like Lisbeth with Horn God armor, you would still tend to take a decent amount of damage if you get solo attacked by like a mirror composition, because the archer is once again very vulnerable and it just cannot be helped. Like it might be a little different if you were running Leona on the other hand instead of Lisbeth with Horn God armor, but we have yet to test. Maybe next shrine we'll be able to test that. But right now, 1 and 7 is in control of 5 buildings versus 0 from the side of Rome. And this really once again plays into the issue of Rome not really having too many top end players. Although they have some of the strongest players in the game, they simply do not have enough top teams. And that is what I think is really important in the Lost Shrine battle. You just have to have enough top teams. And every player, they really only have one top team, maybe two. Like 2 is really stretching it already. Like you have one good team, which may be 776. The moment you use that team for anything, whether it's for attacking or rallying someone or defending a shrine, you're very vulnerable and you cannot really do anything with your sub teams except join other people's rallies. But note that the moment you capture these shrines, you no longer have to sit in them. You just have to wait for the enemy to be about, you just have to wait to the point where the enemy is about to capture the shrine. And then you just kick them out, whether it's a solo march spam or double rally, you just kick them out and instantly you don't have to bother with it anymore. Like you just kick them out and it's much easier than trying to capture it back for 5 minutes. And that is really why, although the strategy of pressuring your opponent's top players at the beginning before any building is captured, although it is a fairly strong strategy, if your opponent manages to capture all the buildings like 197 has in control here, it becomes very difficult to actually catch up in points and capture back those buildings. Because in order to be effective in combat, you actually don't need too many troops. You just need like enough troops to send out one attack team or like one strong attack team, and then you're golden. And like in the unlikely scenario that you're entirely zeroed, then you can literally like heal just 200,000 troops, which is only like 200 hours of healing, and suddenly you'd be as good as new, at least in terms of just attacking. Like your main team will have enough troops to launch the attack, and if you have all the buildings captured, then you can literally launch the attack for the sake of kicking out your opponent. And that is kind of why it is also important to consider focusing on capturing the buildings rather than trying to suppress your opponent's top players as well as lower players at the beginning of the battle. So now Batty is rallying general. I mean, at this point, I think Rome already lost. So right now, Rome's strategy, I mean, it's really like it's just so hard to come back from this point, because all your opponent needs to do is stop you from capturing the crystals. Like if 197 is paying any attention, they would ask their lower players to start kicking server 22 players out from the crystal gathering. And the only reason that server 22 is keeping up at all with server 10 in points is from the crystal gathering. So the moment server 22 notices that and takes action on kicking the farmers out, then yeah, server 22 has no additional avenues of point gain, and they can do nothing else but really just chill and take the loss. So the final couple buildings are about to be captured by server 10, although it appears that server 22 is attempting to take back some of the buildings. Let's fast forward just a bit to see if server 22 is able to regain control of any of the buildings. And it is just so hard when your enemy has the entire field under their control. So we can see Carr starting to attack Nightmare. And although he didn't break through Nightmare, the attack will hurt a lot more because Nightmare's main team is within the altar. Yeah, so it does appear that server 10 is noticing that server 22 is gathering across the Lost Shrine, and they are suppressing that as well. So it does look to be GG in favor of server 10. Now these are all just minor skirmishes, players trying to gain their own personal points. You only need 180,000 to gain the maximum reward, whether you win or lose. And it is very easy to gain from a little bit of PvP. So we can see Baron, Psycho, they are all attacking whoever still has troops left. We can see General starting to attack. And is this Ninja? It is Ninja. Okay, so Ninja is down to 218 million power. I mean, you never really want to heal here. I know some players actually have spammed the heal multiple times and used over many thousands of hours of heals. I think Harris specifically, he did that at one point, and it's a really silly move to do in Shrine. I understand doing it when you're about to win, but when there's no chance of winning, it's just kind of pointless. I mean, even if you're about to win, I still think it's kind of pointless because the rewards are just not there. I do hope that they improve the rewards in the Shrine at some point, because Shrine is I would say one of the most action-packed events of the Land of Empires, and I really hope that they do more for this game mode. I think this game mode still has a lot of potential. It reserves 1 hour every 2 weeks, and a lot of players have that are available at that time because you get to choose 3 different time zones where you can teleport into the shrine and battle for 1 entire hour. So maybe a tournament setup, although I can understand that in the case of a tournament setup, not all alliances will prefer the exact same time zone. So you might run into issues with these time zones. This is the Lost Shrine fight between server 10 and server 22. I hope everyone enjoyed the cast and my review of what people did at the start as well as the midpoint of the Shrine battle. I think there's a lot of strategies people can use in the Battle of Lost Shrine, especially because if you are a big player, you may still be vulnerable if you spread yourself out too thin. But once again, I think that Shrines, it relies heavily upon top-end activity, like the number of top players. You may have the strongest power, the strongest 1 or 2 players, but if you do not have enough support, like from other Glorious 10s, then your overall ability to control the battlefield is just unfortunately limited. So if they ever do decide to expand this format, I hope they bring some additional balancing to between between alliances who do not have as many top end players, or maybe just more stronger players, as opposed to alliances with a decent amount of top range players, but not necessarily any players who are super strong. So congratulations to server 10 for taking this Lost Shrine win against a powerful enemy. Actually, they recently lost a Holy Mountain battle against server 22, and that video will come out at some point. But for now, I hope everyone enjoyed this Lost Shrine cast. Let's just skip to the very end. And yeah, here is the conclusion of this Lost Shrine battle. Once again, congratulations to server 10, and thank you Ninja once again for providing this video and allowing me to do a commentary. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will see everyone in my next video. Take care.